Hi everyone. My name's Elizabeth and I am a trainee at RPC. So I'm just going to be doing a little presentation on what life is like at RPC. Harpreet, who is also a trainee, is having some troubles logging in, but she's going to try and join us shortly. Hopefully she'll be able to, but if not, I'll take you through all her bits as well anyway, so no worries there. So before we get into what life is like in the day of a trainee, I'll just give you an overview of what RPC is like as a firm. So RPC is a mid-tier firm. It stands for Reynolds Porter Chamberlain, which is how it's often referred to in like official documents and judgments and stuff. But everybody just says RPC. It's a mid-tier firm in the city, and we've got offices in London, Bristol, Hong Kong, and Singapore. So the London office is where I'm based, and we're right next to Tower Bridge, so really nice location. And yeah, we're part of, so we don't have too many international offices, just the ones in Hong Kong and Singapore. But we're part of a Teredex group. So that's like a network of independent law firms across basically everywhere across the whole world. So our kind of like strategy with international offices is that rather than having a little office where you're not really specialized in that country's like laws, it's better to partner up with another law firm that's been there for a long time and are really cemented and have all that local knowledge. So that's why we're part of that group. And we are contentious focused, so a lot of our work is litigation. That's probably like 70 to 80% of the work, which is quite a big proportion. But then obviously within that, there were lots of different practice groups, which I will go on to talk about a bit later. So yes, we are a very good firm. We have won lots of awards, and these are just some of the awards that we've won over the last few years. So yeah, it's not we've got like awards for specific teams, like competition team of the year, insurance team of the year, but we've also been awarded awards for just general firm-wide things like innovation, best legal technology, best client service. So yeah, loads of awards for lots of things. Yeah, so the work is split into two core practice areas, the insurance stuff and the commercial stuff. So in terms of commercial, first you've got disputes, litigation and investigations. That's the biggest department within the firm, and it's all about like commercial dispute resolutions. We do lots of banking work, regulatory work, tax stuff, like FCA investigations, things like that. And then we've got the regulatory team, which is kind of like half part of the disputes team. They work really closely together. And then we also have the corporate team, which is like banking and finance, mergers and acquisitions, restructuring, insolvency, those kinds of things. And then we've got MIPTOC, which stands for Media, IP, Technology, Outsourcing and Contracts. So yeah, for media, that's just like we work for a lot of our clients are like newspapers and stuff like that. And then we've got a lot of data work coming in at the moment. Some of our major clients within that space is like includes like Facebook and Google. So we've got some really, really big names in there. So yeah, our commercial practice is very, very high profile. We've got lots of lots of great clients, like the couple that I mentioned earlier. And yeah, the work that we do spans across the whole world. So those little pink, so the purple arrows are like where we've got offices, and then the pink arrows are like where we've done various where we've got various dispute experience. And we've been in the legal press a lot. So these are like some examples of when we've appeared in legal news. And there's also a like litigation tracker, which tracks all the different cases that different law firms have done. And we've appeared the most in court last year. So that just shows like a lot of you know, the high caliber of the work that we do, and how many people come to us for all their litigation issues. And then our insurance practices is something that our Preach was going to go through. Because I've like mostly been commercial based, but I went through some of the practice areas that we've got within insurance. So we've got professional risks and financial risks, and then we've got construction, which is one of the seats that I've done. So it's a lot of like, at the moment, it's a lot about cladding issues, but it's just like generally whether buildings are safe, and if they're not, who's to blame. You've got property and casualty, which is like fires and floods and stuff like that. And then you've got energy and general liability and medical. So yeah, as I was saying, there are it's a highly contentious law firm, and one of the benefits of this is that you get to go out to court and be a part of court proceedings quite often. So trainees are usually in charge of bundling when we have trials that go to court, which sometimes isn't the most glamorous job, especially if you've got like so many boxes full of bundles like this poor trainee had. But it's good to be able to go into the courtrooms and actually like see your work, how your work is being used. So that's good. And the team often take you along, so you can see everything that you've been working towards, which is nice. So yes, life in our law firm. The firm culture is very good. We've only got 15 trainees per intake, so then there'll be 30 trainees in total overall. So because it's quite a small intake, everybody's like, we're all really good friends. We all hang out and like go for drinks after work and dinners and stuff like that. So it's very social. And yeah, like the social activities are very much encouraged by the firm as well. So if you there are lots of clubs, like there are football clubs and theatre clubs and stuff, but if there's a club that doesn't exist that you want to start up, then you're able to do that as long as you have enough interest and you get given a budget and stuff, which is all very good. And then yeah, corporate social responsibility. We've got a relaunch of our corporate social responsibility stream happening at the moment. So it's split into charity and community work, pro bono work, and environmental stuff. So that extends to the pre-joining program as well. So if future trainees, as part of their future trainees before they join, they have a 2-week pre-joining scheme, and as part of that, they will get involved in one of these 3 streams of CSR. So for example, for my intake, we went to a local community centre, and we helped kids, primary school kids, decorate, do Christmas decorations, which was cute. And then we've got various charity days and bake sales and stuff that we do throughout the year. And we were ranked as a top 50 UK employer for social mobility. So, that's just objective evidence of the work that we do. So this is also another slide that Hearts was going to do, because she's involved in quite a few of these like inclusion and diversity work streams. But I will try and run you quickly through them. So as part of our inclusion and diversity initiative at RPC, we've got the work streams, which are these ones listed here, and then we've also got allies, who are people at RPC that get special lanyards so that you can see that they are allies. And like if you ever feel like you need to talk to someone about like work stuff or anything else really, and you don't feel comfortable speaking to like your supervisor or HR about it, you can find one of the allies and chat to them, and everything will be like very confidential and stuff. So that's just like a little bit of extra support that we get. And then at the end of life, so I will talk about my day, I guess. This was my day yesterday. So it's just like it's like not made up, it's just like what I did yesterday. So I get into the office between 9 and 9:30, and then the first thing I always do is check my emails. I deal with any like little tasks that I get that I can deal with straight away. And I also do my Cognito questions. And Cognito is a little like learning and development program that we've got where it's an app that you've got on your phone, and every day you get 2 questions about like tech, because at the moment the big push is getting better at legal tech stuff and understanding tech and our clients within the tech industry. So yeah, I get 2 little questions about those, and then there's like a little scoreboard as well, so I can see how I'm doing against everybody else. And then I had a really big legal research task that basically took up the whole morning. So I did that from about 9:30 until lunchtime, and that involved finding and reading lots of various case law about the issue that I was picking up, and applying those facts to our case to try and figure out if we are in the right or in the wrong. And then I had lunch. Lunch is 1 hour, and you can take it anytime between 12 and 2. And yeah, normally, like I'll normally take the full hour. It's like very much encouraged that you take regular breaks and stuff. And you're not expected to just be like chained to your desk the whole day. And then after lunch, I had a little bit of time before an afternoon of meetings. So I got myself organized, catch up on emails from the morning, rejigged my to-do list a bit when sometimes like more urgent things come up, or more important things come up, so you have to push other things back. And then yesterday's afternoon was quite meeting heavy. So at 2 o'clock I had my fortnightly meeting with my supervisor. We have that every 2 weeks, just to discuss my workload, make sure I've got enough on, or that I don't have too much on, and just give me an opportunity to raise any issues that I've got. And then at 3 o'clock I had a meeting with a senior associate in the new team that I'll be going into. So I am currently in my last seat of my training contract. So I'll be moving to my new department, but I'll be joining as an NQ in September. So I just had a little catch up with someone in that team to chat about the work and discuss any like pre-joining prep that I should be doing. And then at 4 o'clock, after that meeting, I started on a chronology, which is another task that I had to do. So often with litigation work, you want to do a chronology of all the events that happened leading up to and continuing after the event that you're being accused of like being at fault for. So yeah, I started on that. And then at 5 o'clock, I had another meeting on another case I'm working on, where we discussed like case strategies and what we want to write in our defense, and stuff like that. So yeah, that was quite good to sit in on. I wasn't really saying much, but it's nice to be involved. And then at 5:30 after the meeting, I effected some of the tasks that came out off the back of that, which included like finding various documents to try and figure out answers to a few outstanding questions that we had, and arranging a call with counsel, because we often instruct counsel to finalise the defence for us. So we had to have a chat with her to just make sure that the defence is including everything that we needed to. And then I finished up at 6:30. So normally I finish around probably between 6 and 6:30 in my current department, which is really good for a city law firm. I think it'll be a bit longer once I start as an NQ, but yeah, generally the hours are quite good. So yes, that's the end of that. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and I will try to answer them.
Hi there, Elizabeth. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, all good, thank you. So thank you so much for joining us. And I know your colleague had some issues getting in, and when there's going to be slides for two, having to do it all yourself is no mean feat. So thank you so much, and you did a fantastic job. There is a chance Harpreet might actually be able to join us in a second. I know my colleague can do some troubleshooting with her, but if she does, then obviously we can open up the Q&A. But in the meantime, I've got some. Thank you to all the students. I've got some questions that are coming through here, so we'll ask away. So now you said you're about to come to the end of your training contract, so and then on to moving on within the firm after that. So in your opinion, what makes RPC different in their training contracts to other firms?
So I think that the main thing with RPC is like the really collegiate culture that we have. So there's very much an atmosphere of we want you to like be the best that you can be, like professionally, and lots of support personally as well, and like a lot of focus on like your own personal development, rather than just work all these hours for the firm and don't have your own life. So yeah, it's very open and friendly. If there's anything, well, my experience has been that if there's anything that I felt I wanted experience in, if I spoke to my supervisor about it, they would make sure that I got that experience. If you're like really busy, there's always someone to tell, and they'll like redistribute the workload. So yeah, it's all very nice.
Yeah, when you were going through the numbers on your training contracts, it sounds like a very sociable group to be in. So that sounds like a lot of fun. So another question. So I appreciate you are not a recruiter and you're actually on the training contract, but do you know whether there's a firm's opinion on the SQE versus the LPC?
I am not sure, I'm afraid. I imagine they won't mind because it's like everything's moving to the SQE now, right? So I think, I mean, I assume it'll be fine, but I'm not really sure.
Well, I guess any questions on SQE versus LPC? Maybe that's one more for one of the recruiters. So another question from Hannah, and maybe this is thinking about your cohort who have gone through the training contract with you. What's the firm's view on law, non-law degrees, and actually getting a training contract? Were some of your cohort from non-law backgrounds?
Yeah, so not having a law degree is like absolutely fine. I think these days it's like almost encouraged because it brings a bit of a different way of thinking. So yeah, that's fine. Like there's no worries there. With my intake, I think at least 50%, if not more, are from non-law backgrounds. So, and like everything, so during the interview and the VAT scheme, they don't ever ask you any like technical legal questions. It's just like about you and the firm and like that kind of stuff. And then during the VAT scheme as well, when you're assisting with the work, it's not going to be like about what you would have done at a law degree. It's more like practical commercial stuff, and if there is any legal knowledge that you need, they'll either tell it to you or point you in the right direction. I guess having a law degree is helpful in some situations if like you're doing legal research or summarizing case law because you have experience of that, but you'll pick it all up as you go along. So I don't think there's any issues there.
Good stuff. So yeah, very inclusive for non-law and law students. Question from Annie. I hope I've got that right. So sounds like you did a VAC scheme at RPC as well, but why did you choose RPC?
So I initially did a first round of applications to like magisterial firms and stuff, but then I went to like various events and stuff that they did, and I didn't really want to work in like one of the really big firms with like really long hours and stuff. So then I looked for kind of more like mid-city firms, and then RPC is one of the ones that I found at a law firm, and I just like really got on with the trainees that were at the booth. They all just seemed really like nice and personable and like real people. So then I went on to, I think I would have done one of their open day events, but I'm not sure now. It's been a while. But yeah, and then I did a VAT scheme, and again, everybody was really nice. There was a lot of effort put into making sure that the VAT scheme is like felt included, and we're doing kind of like meaningful work that would go somewhere. So yeah, and everybody was like really friendly and supportive. So I just thought, yeah, this is somewhere where I can go to work and, you know, enjoy the time that I'm spending at the office and be friends with my colleagues.
Great. And then there's a couple of questions relating to the seats that you had. So thank you, Joanne. Thanks, Dino. So what were the seats you had during your training contract? And a similar one from Dino says, which did you enjoy the most?
Yeah, so I have done seats in commercial disputes, IP, and then I'm on a client secondment to an IP client, and then I am currently in the construction team, which is an insurance seat. So I enjoyed. It's a split between two. So I'm really enjoying my current seat, which is construction. I'm quite liking like the kind of work that I'm getting. I think part of it might be because I'm a four-seater, so I'm getting a bit more responsibility than I would have done in my previous seats, and like doing more substantive legal work, like drafting and stuff like that, which is really interesting. And then I also liked IP because I quite like I'm quite interested in more technological, like more tech law kind of stuff. And the IP stuff kind of crossed over with tech and the data teams. So I enjoyed that as well. And then I'm qualifying into cyber, into the cyber team, which I didn't actually do a seat in, but then they had an NQ role open up. So I applied, which is a bit of a mix between insurance and tech stuff. So that's good because it's my two favorite seats rolled into one.
Amazing, yeah, and that was one of the questions that I was going to ask next, actually. So I didn't know, but really insightful. Thanks for going there. So yeah, talk me through a bit more about what you're going to expect in the after your training contract.
Yeah, so cyber is actually one of like a very new department within RPC. So they've actually existed as a small team for a while, but they've recently started expanding. So that's why they've decided to take on an NQ this year. So a lot of the work is like data data breaches, cyber attacks, and like kind of damage control following those kind of events. So yeah, I'm quite interested in that because it's quite like intense and fast paced, and you're working very closely with the client to like help them like save their business. So it's quite meaningful work. And then the other part of it is just general tech disputes. So like if a company has a contract with a tech company, that they will like make software for them, and then something goes wrong with that software, and then like who's liable for the damage and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a mix.
Sounds very exciting. Well, it sounds like a good place to be, and we wish you all the best for that. I'll change tack a little bit, and there's some great questions that have come in. I mean, when we did this virtual event series last year, a lot of the questions were obviously were COVID related. It's been a lot less so at the moment, but a good one's come in. How have you found working from home? I presume you're there at the moment, and you also mentioned being in the office yesterday. And how was the transition between office, home? How has that impacted the work that you've been doing?
Yes, so I think like the first 2 or 3 weeks after we all went to working from home, because it was very abrupt, those first 2 or 3 weeks were a bit more difficult. You didn't really get that much contact with people, and because that was when I had just moved into a new seat, I was kind of left a bit unsure of what I was doing. But once those 2 weeks passed, when everybody got a bit more used to the idea of working virtually, it was completely fine. Everybody just got used to like video calling people instead of emailing them. So I had a lot more face-to-face contact. I got to meet lots of different people within my team. Like I saw their face, even though I couldn't meet them in person. It means that we're having a lot more like telephone calls and stuff rather than emails, because to be honest, when you're in the office, even though you're all in the same space, people just mostly work off emails anyway. Whereas when we started working virtually, I think people made that extra effort to actually see people's faces. So yeah, in some ways it's been beneficial. The other benefit is that if you're like really busy and working, people can't just come up to your desk and stop you halfway through the work you're doing. So that can be handy sometimes when you're really busy.
And I wasn't sure if you were talking literally or figuratively yesterday when you were talking about the day in your life, and you said you went into the office. Were you actually in yesterday?
Oh yeah, so yesterday I was actually in the office. So our office is currently working at a decreased capacity to make sure that everybody can like comply with social distancing. But if you do want to go into the office, you can just book a seat and go in. So I did that yesterday. I do that like from time to time when I want to see people. So yeah, I met those guys in person.
And do you have any sense of what will happen going forward with regards to office?
Yeah, so with our firm is currently going through a bit of a refurbishment phase. So we're going to be at decreased capacity probably until later this year. But then the idea after that is to have the whole office open, and then everybody can come in. Well, we'll have the capacity for everybody to come in if they wanted to, but it's become much more flexible. So it depends on which team you're in. Like each team have like discretion to decide what they want to do. But like with the team that I'm going to be going into, I know that one of the partners will mostly be working from home. Someone else will be working from the office 4 days a week. Someone else will be working from the office 2 days a week. So yeah, it's very much more flexible now.
Sounds good, and maybe the best approach. And then there's a really good question from Karina. So asking about how much support you get when you're a trainee, and I guess linked to the fact that there's maybe new working styles. How do you think working from home has impacted, and how will it impact the support that you get as a new starter?
Yeah, so I'd say there's like lots of good support for trainees. I have done half of my seat virtually. No, I think I've done 3 out of 4 seats virtually. And it's been fine. When I do work for people, if like it's more about your supervisors and the people that you do work for, rather than whether you're doing it virtually or in the office. So if somebody is the kind of person who gives you loads of feedback, if you're doing it virtually, like they'll pick up the phone to you and take you through everything and tell you like all the things that you did, well, and what they changed and stuff. Whereas if they're not the kind of person to give you feedback, they will kind of like maybe just copy you into an email where they've made those changes, and then you can kind of figure out for yourself. So I've had both those types of feedback givers in my first seat and my second seat and my third seat, and it doesn't matter whether it's virtual or in the office. So yeah, I don't think there's too much difference there. And then going into my new seat, I know that there's at least one person who's going to be working from the office most of the time. And I'm planning on working from the office most of the time too. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of emphasis on talking to people and doing video calls rather than emails. So yeah, I'm not too worried, to be honest.
Sounds good. All right, well, Elizabeth, thank you so much for that. That brings us to time now. Really appreciate you joining and giving an insight into RPC and the day in the life, of course. And thank you very much for adapting to the situation and going through the presentation on your own. And to everyone watching in, we really appreciate it as well. There's now 20 minutes or so, so feel free to go to the employer booths, ask any final questions, and also please join us tomorrow as well. So we've got another day tomorrow where we've got the likes of CMS, Linklaters, and panel of trainees. So I believe we're kicking off from around 10 o'clock tomorrow. So please do join us back for day 2. Thank you everyone for joining us on day 1. We hope you found it very interesting and insightful. So Elizabeth, really appreciate your time. To everyone watching in, thank you so much. We hope to catch you tomorrow. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.